Thank you for staying with SABC News. This is SME on Point. I am Liabo Setho. Good afternoon. We start with our featured business of the week, where we meet Soweto-born Nokuthula Fihla, who started producing her washing powder. Her business is now a year old. She simply calls it Gogo's washing powder. She says she came up with this name because grandmothers are often trusted for their wisdom. She says she's determined to be the African entrepreneur that developed a washing powder for Africans. This is Nokuthula's story. Nokuthula Fihla promised herself that when she turned 50, she would resign from her job and start her own business. In 2018, she fulfilled her own promise. She teamed up with her son, put her biochemistry qualification and rich experience in research and development to good use.
I've always been passionate about science and just mixing things in the lab or combining things, in R&D. Yeah. So I decided that maybe let me go back to where it all started, because when I started working, I was in research and development. So I decided that maybe let me go there. So I did my research, then realized that actually washing powder is such a big market. And I think there's enough pie for all of us. Much as it's saturated, it was like, okay, if I go on washing powder, how am I going to make this thing? Because I know you need big, towers to make this. And I thought, let me see if there's ways to make it on a small scale.
And so the journey of the creation of Gogo's washing powder began. Fihla started this journey in her home garage, and the testing of different formulas began.
The first one was so wet, it wasn't funny, and we couldn't even dry it. Then we said, okay, maybe we need to add less of this and more of that. So we kept on doing that, until I came up with a formula that at least looked like a washing powder. Right. Once I had it, it's nice to have friends, and fools who believe in you, because then they'll take whatever you give them. So I gave it to them and said, guys, please try this. I'm trying to make washing powder. And then some complained about the fragrance, some complained about, it's too harsh on my hands. Then I knew how to adjust it. So I kept on doing that several times. I mean, it took me months to do that.
And she finally netted the perfect formula. She then vacated the home garage and sought space, a small machine to produce the washing powder, and it was all systems go. Added to that, she looked into the distribution model that would not only benefit her, but the community too.
So what we do then is we've got distributors. So I started, advertising on Facebook, putting some posters whenever we're doing activations that if you want to distribute our product, come talk to us. So we get people, some of them have bikes that they're not using, they just idle. Others don't even have cars, but they come buy from us and then they sell to their communities. So what we do then is we give them discounted prices and then they sell at a profit.
Fihla's washing powder business is now scaling up. She's already in talks with a big manufacturer to produce the washing powder in large quantities with the aim of taking it to retail stores. Fihla says while she's aware of the fact that she's playing in a market with already big and dominant players, her bravery and knowledge carries her.
It was really about, if those multinationals can be this big in Africa, why can't an African be big in Africa? So it was really about that.
You can see there are also a lot of Nokuthula Fihlas out there who desire to create products that can be used and consumed locally. But the reality is that the lack of capital limits innovative and a creative mindset. Uprise Africa believes it has the solution. It is the first equity crowdfunding platform in South Africa. Crowdfunding is a new way to invest in SMEs. Multiple investors, they contribute to innovative business pitches in exchange for equity shares in the company. Of course, I'm not an expert in this, but Flo Mosoane is, and she's going to tell us more about Uprise Africa. Thank you very much for joining us on SME on Point. Who is Uprise Africa and why equity crowdfunding?
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome.
You've defined Uprise Africa well. It is the first equity crowdfunding platform in South Africa. It is a regulated platform in that it is FSCA registered. So small businesses are able to then source capital from the crowd now in a legal and secure and regulated environment where that relationship of trust is created in that brokerage between the investor and the SME. So the whole aim really is to democratize the funding landscape in South Africa for both investors and entrepreneurs.
So I went through your website, right, and I saw that there's already a couple of companies who are offering equity in exchange, to help, maximize their funding. So I want you to explain to our viewers in the very simplest of terms, jargons aside, about how exactly they get to list their business on the Uprise Africa website so that they get investors into their business and obviously make sure that they get funding in the process.
Well, what we take quite seriously is our duty to make sure that the businesses that we list or the transactions that we list have commercial viability. So that,
what does that mean? What does commercial viability mean?
So that we can know that your strategy for growing your business will have a good enough return to attract an investor and to sustain the business.
Okay.
So, of course, we would have questions around a business which is losing money.
Okay, of course, naturally.
So, of course, yeah. So we would get in the room with our onboarding partners. Those are people who are financial experts and are experienced in looking at businesses and determining the viability, their financial viability, and they give us the go-ahead then to say, okay, this business is okay to deal with going forward. But what we would like to say at Uprise Africa is that in as much as a business has to show a return, we sell stories, because investors in crowdfunding don't only invest for return, but for a personal connection with the business that they're investing in, where the potential investor also becomes the customer, becomes the brand ambassador, really becomes an overall supporter.
Because it is also their business.
Absolutely.
Inadvertently.
They have ownership in the business, they use the product, they sell to their friends, they tell their networks. That's really the big benefit of
Let's talk about Gogo's washing powder. Would a business like that be able to list on the Uprise Africa platform and eventually get investors?
Yes, absolutely. We definitely like to look at manufacturing business like that, business that have a physical product, particularly because crowdfunding by its nature appeals more for consumer-facing products. So because people have the product right in their homes, they go to the shops to buy the product that they themselves have invested in. So the product by its nature lends itself well to the equity crowdfunding environment.
What happens then in businesses where they are more technological, there is not a physical product to touch and feel, yet you still want to list your business? You've got an app, you've got, you offer, a service. What then happens?
Yes, that's also, I mean, you will see on our platform, a lot of those businesses, they are technology businesses, and really the big draw for these types of businesses is the potential to scale because of the digital platform or the technology. Their ability to create exorbitant amounts of equity in their businesses is quite clear. So those businesses attract investors quite well.
I want to spend the last 2 minutes of our conversation of you telling us exactly what is needed. How much do I need to pay in order to have my business listed there? What are the do's and don'ts, the T's and C's, in the simplest of terms, so that people understand exactly what this is?
Okay, so the first thing to note, of course, is that we do have a minimum raise on Uprise Africa, and that minimum is 3 million. So
okay, what does that mean?
So it means we will list you only when you are looking for, the minimum that you're looking for is 3 million rands. In which case, if you are looking for 3 million, we have to think the value of your business
it's much higher.
To be, so 15 million plus, so that you are not giving the crowd a majority share in your business. Yes. So the first thing that we do, of course, is ask you for an onboarding fee. That's around 24,000
How
rands.
much is that?
24,000 rands.
Okay.
So, onboarding fee, and
so
that goes
is like
our
an initiation fee, a fee to get signed up.
Well, not really, because we have this duty to make sure that the business is up to scratch. That's the money that goes to our service providers that check the financial viability, that check the legal structure to make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And once they give us the go-ahead, then we list them. The important thing with listing is that your story has to come out, because that's what attracts the investor. So your pitch video is very important, as well as your pitch story, how you relate your value to a potential investor. Our fee comes in the form of a success fee of 8% once you've had a successful crowdfunding campaign. And what is really unique with Uprise Africa is our relationship with Zara RX, which is a stock exchange,
That means
which
that-
then means then those shares that have been bought by the crowd can
Will
be
be
listed
listed,
on a
yes.
stock exchange, and the investors can then trade those shares.
This would
among
be
each
a
other.
local stock exchange like the
Yes,
Johannesburg Stock
absolutely,
Exchange.
absolutely, yes.
So would you please tell our viewers where they can get hold of Uprise Africa, both your social media and maybe your website?
Yes, our website is as simple as that, uprise.africa, and you are able to see all the pictures that are listed on there. And please register. We encourage everybody to register, because for as little as 1,000 rands, you can become an investor too, and everybody can budget 1,000 rands in their
business,
in the earnings. Yes. So once you've had a look, of course, you've registered. You come into our network, and we are able to let you know then when there are opportunities available, and of course for you to also list your business on our platform. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we have a blog, and we get written about a lot because of the campaigns that we publish of the different businesses on our website. Yeah.
Flo Mosoane, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on
you.
SME On Point. We are grateful to hear about Uprise Africa and hope that our viewers will take advantage of Uprise Africa in their funding challenges.
Thank you.
Our inspirational quote of the week reads, is actually from Thapelo Ramosepele. He's the owner of Kop Rep on Dira. He says that brains matter, but passion matters most to achieve success. Thank you for watching SME On Point. You can reach me on my email, which is setorle@sabc.co.za. Let me repeat that. That is setorle@sabc.co.za. My Facebook and Twitter handles are @Liabo Setho. After the break, it's Books on Point with Nastasia Arense.